3, 2, 1.
Hello, my name is Norik Vardanian, and I'm a 2012 Olympian and current American record holder.
Best lifts?
Best lifts?
Oh, best competition snatch 172, best competition clean and jerk 210.
That's insane.
Alright.
These guys are all weightlifters. I'm a powerlifter. I currently have the world record for the 105 kilo class by way of a 672 squat, 447 bench, and 771 deadlift, and trying to get on the national team.
My name is Jenny Arthur, and I'm a 2016 Olympian. My best numbers are 106 and 138.
I am Sylvia Hoffman. I also do weightlifting. My best lifts are 90 and 110, and I have made 2 international teams, which is the World University Championships and the World University Games.
So we'll cut out these little intermediate pieces, I guess.
Thank you.
Questions. First thing is, let's see, Norik, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into lifting or some family history background, how you started?
I began lifting, well, I heard about lifting at a very young age. Like, I remember watching my father's lifting videos when I was like 5, 6 years old, when he won the 1980 Olympics and so on. But he never actually asked me to lift weights. I brought it up to him because I was playing basketball and I wanted to jump higher. So and I seen him jump over the chalk box when he won the Olympics. So I was like, that's cool. I want to do something like that. And so he started showing me exercises, and then like a week later he built a big platform, and I was like, I didn't know I was going to be a weightlifter. And I was a little upset at first, but like, look where we are now, so we're good.
That's awesome. What about you, Bryce? What's your backstory and how you got into powerlifting?
I saw a poster on the wall for volleyball in high school. I was like, I'll try out for that. So I played volleyball for 3 years in high school and 2 years in college. And as soon as I got into college, I started looking for ways to get better, jump higher, actually, and discovered bodybuilding. Did that for 2 years before I fell in love with powerlifting. I've been doing that for 6 years.
How old are you?
28.
And then, I guess, Jenny, you came from track and field, right?
Yeah, I came from track and field and softball, and the high school football coach that I went to, the high school that I went to, the high school football coach taught the Olympic style lifts to his football players. And so, I went in one morning and was like, I want to learn this, and here I am. I mean, I started locally competing, and then nationally, and that's when the national head coach, Zygmunt, kind of spotted me out at a meet and was like, we want to invite you to the training center. And so that's when I moved out in 2012 to the training center to pursue the dream of making the Olympic team.
What events did you do in track and field?
I did the sprints, so 100, 200, 300 hurdles, and then the 40-yard line.
Okay.
So I did that, and then some throwing.
Very cool. Sylvia, what's your background?
So I actually started in basketball. I went to college for basketball, did 4 years, and I had 1 more year of school, so I decided to do weightlifting since I actually had a high performance and development center on my campus, which is at LSUS. Kendrick Ferris, he was training there, and a lot of other good, highly named weightlifters like Jared Fleming and Hillary Kratzmeyer. So I watched Kendrick almost break an American record, and I was like, I want to do that. So I told my coach, Kyle Pierce, hey, I want to try weightlifting. He thought I was joking, and I kept showing up. So he said, okay, let's put you on program. And my first year, I ended up making an international team, and I was like, okay, where are we going? Israel, okay. So the second year, I was just finishing school. I had 1 more semester, and he told me to just continue to train through summer. And I went to University Nationals. A lot of my teammates made the World University Games team to go to Russia. And I ended up making that team as well. So I didn't expect it to do 2 years in a row, but I was like, well, what the heck? I made it 2 years. Let's see how far I can get after that. So that's why I'm still here.
Let's see. Jenny, what are your plans after the Olympics?
Well, CrossFit? No. want to try it out. You know, I do want to stay, you know, into fitness, stay active, but I will begin like finishing, taking up like some classes and getting my degree. So
Are you enrolled in school now?
No, not right now.
Okay.
No, so after 2016, I'll finish, and then like still stay into.
But no plans to retire though, right?
No, I feel like I'm just kind of getting started.
Good. That's what we like to hear. Right. And then,
Was there a point in your careers that the bar felt, I think Bryce, you put the question up on your Facebook about how the bar felt. Like, is there a time, does the bar always feel novel when you guys touch it, or is it so familiar because the amount of reps you guys get in? Do you guys ever lose that feeling of, like this is the first time I've done this, I guess would be the question.
is it like riding a bike?
Yeah, is it like riding a bike or?
To be honest, sometimes I do go in the gym and I'm like, I just pick up the bar and start heading to my platform and I'm just like, man, this bar is kind of heavy today. But I end up doing really well in training, so it's like, well, just because it starts, not feeling too great doesn't mean it won't end feeling really great.
Okay.
I think over practice, just touching this strange object over a longer and longer period of time, like you get more and more used to moving your body with it. But there's still those days, especially if you have like a deload or something like that, where you get back in the gym after 6 days of not training and it takes a little bit to get back in that groove of things.
But I do think it's kind of like riding a bike. Like I don't know. I mean, my technique will get rusty, but it's never like once it's set, it's not ever going back to zero. So it's kind of like you still have something. Whether you lose little things, you still know the main movement.
The Henry Rollins quote, right? 200 pounds is always 200 pounds. And that iron essay, right? The bar is always, the knurling's always going to be where the knurling is. The weight's always going to be the same way, Do you guys have it? We kind of saw a little bit of it today. Everyone has their own style. There's a saying kind of in motor learning, you don't get to have your own style until you have the skill. And obviously you guys have the skill. Has your style changed over time as you've gotten stronger? Or have you guys kind of always had your own kind of style of lifting?
I feel like it's kind of been a roller coaster for me, I feel like I'm just still trying to learn the basic movements of the snatch and clean and jerk, So, I try not to like change it up too much, but at the same time, I'm still trying to like learn, which way will work, better.
Yeah.
What technique when you have technique days, what are the things that maybe you work on? What are your things? Like my thing was always swinging the bar, and I did like every day for the 10-year career, and work on not swinging the bar.
Yeah.
What technique things do you guys still have to work on?
Keeping the bar close is
We're
one
gonna keep
thing.
it close.
The bar close is one thing, and I think that like Norik's definitely taught me, about different lifts and kind of focusing on these lifts to better, perform the snatch and the clean and jerk. So
Like the supplemental
snatch
exercises and stuff?
So snatch without moving feet, or like muscle snatch, like the importance, like the real importance of those, like power snatch without moving feet or something. But as for like maybe like before, when I first started weightlifting, I didn't really know the like importance of these exercises. They've really helped, I feel, and just kind of breaking it down and working on these things.
What about you, Norik? What was the technique thing that you still work on or that plagued you?
Well, I'm so like anal about my movement. It's like 50 kilos. If it's not right, like I won't go to 60. Like I'll make it right. I'll do 50 100 times. I'll do it 20 times. I've had snatch sessions where I max out my snatch, but I'll do 50 for like 20 minutes. And I won't go past in segments like already done filming everyone else. And it's like, what are you doing, guy? I'm like, I'm getting it down. but that's just me, and that comes a little bit from my father being so technical. But I think one thing with me, once my foundation of my technique was set, was that I needed to work on a lot was speed, being more efficient. I always felt like my pull was stronger than what I was lifting. So if your pull feels light and you're not making the lift, then that means you're not as efficient as you can be. So I always just wanted to be 100% efficient. So efficiency is one thing that I really focus on.
I was going to ask you guys kind of a follow-up question. Like I'm a novice to weightlifting, but I think that everyone knows it's a more technical sport than powerlifting is.
Definitely more technical.
When you were talking about corrections and stuff like that, is Zygmunt always correcting you, and how do you deal with that? Like, is it just a process of over and under corrections all the time? Like, because in powerlifting, you know, most people train by themselves. There's not a coach there to say, do this the next time, do this the next time after that, and you kind of just have to do things on your own and kind of try to figure things out. What's the role of a coach telling you to fix things versus you kind of trying to figure it out yourself?
That's actually a really big role, because I've had a coach that wasn't really that hands-on, and then I had a coach that was very hands-on, which is Zygmunt. Zygmunt is very verbal, and obviously he's from a different country, so he speaks a little different. But what he can't get across in words, he gets across in motions and sounds, and you know how things are supposed to sound, how they're supposed to look. So that way you get to hear it, you get to see it, you get to like know how it's done, so you can actually apply that to your next lift as you're doing it.
Got it.
So yeah, it's very technical. I feel like the more hands-on the coaches, the better the athlete. Because I've had coaches that won't even, come over and correct you and just like stare at you the whole time and just say stuff. But the more hands-on the coaches, I feel like at least now you kind of know which direction to go.
Sure.
Yeah.
How does it feel when you guys like nail that perfect lift? Like, is it easy to duplicate after that? And then like, what does that feel like?
I think it happened once. It was awesome. Like when you feel like you kind of got it down, you just kind of have to like try to see like what you did to be in that position, and just try to get better,
Like one of those days when everything's clicking, like when you lift, you take feels the same. You add 10 kilos, but it feels the same.
Yeah.
So
Just think about like what you did that day, or like how you got to that point of making that lift, in a certain way.
to answer your question from a little bit ago too, as far as like being coached like that, as a professional athlete, you have to be able to take criticism. And if you're being coached by someone, like there's a reason that person's coaching you, so you trust that person.
Right.
And if you don't, that's a problem right there. But if you do, and that person's coaching you, then you have to be willing to take the criticism that he's giving you, because he wants you to be better, he or she, whatever the case may be. But I think as a professional athlete, you do have to take criticism. It's hard sometimes, if I'm having a snatch workout, someone consistently keeps telling me like my movement's terrible, it sucks, it's not getting better. It's hard, but that's when you gotta either forget about it or go home, think about what you can do better. That's when you individually, as an athlete, you have to decide what's better for you and try different things. The coach can't be there with you at night when you're going to bed. And,
Sure.
if you're thinking about it too much, you should ease back a little bit. Or if you're not thinking about it enough, think about it more. And just those are the individual aspects of the sport. I think that's something that are really necessary.
And I think it's up to the coach to like give criticism in a way that doesn't beat you down.
That too,
right?
For sure.
Right. So I'll definitely say when I started training with Zygmunt, I didn't understand what he was saying until I got to know him. And then, I would look around, even when he would coach me, he'll say, much better, or needs more improvement or something. And then when he'd say great or perfect, I'd be so excited. Yeah. So like he'll say, maybe you could do this better, maybe you can do this more. And then he'll give you that's what I'm looking for. And then that's when you're just like, great, I'm making progress, instead of, man, I'm always getting, put down. He never says perfect to me, but he'll make sure to like add that in there when he sees that you're actually making the improvements on what you
Very cool. Bryce, question for you. You've seen powerlifting's going through a huge growth right now, and I think there certainly are the typical kind of heavier set, stockier powerlifters, but you're actually seeing a lot more leaner guys, a lot more lean muscle. You're seeing numbers go up. What are your thoughts on the kind of evolution of powerlifting, and do you think that it's getting more recognition because it's getting more athletic, or how do you feel it's grown?
We're in a CrossFit gym right now, and I think the growth of CrossFit has done a huge amount to popularize both weightlifting and powerlifting too, just getting people involved and realizing like barbell athletes aren't grunting, gym freaks. They're, athletes just like the rest of people, and that influx has kind of really allowed the sport to bloom, and I hope it continues. But one thing we will probably see is the fact that athletes will get leaner at the top levels as they try to maximize the amount of muscle tissue per their weight classes. With a weight class sport, you see the same thing. You'll see people that are built for the sport more and more at the top. So for powerlifting, it's probably very similar to weightlifting, long torsos and kind of short femurs, and that kind of being the standard across all the winners of the weight classes. And then just less change from year to year as far as individual lift records and total records. Like, I'm not sure if in weightlifting it is, but in powerlifting right now, records are broken all the time for the IPF, but I'm sure there are some weightlifting records that have stood for at least a few years. And I think that's the kind of thing you'll probably see more in powerlifting too.
Very cool. Very cool. Cody, any questions? Okay. So, psychology of missing a lift. We all do it, right?
Yeah.
I tend to miss more lifts than most people, but anyhow, how do you guys deal with, whether it's the Olympic trials, it's a personal thing you're going for, how do you guys individually deal with not only missing a lift, but how quickly do you recover from, I mean, if you got 2 minutes to follow yourself and you miss your lift and you got to hit it, how do you guys deal with the quote-unquote failure of missing a lift?
Well, that initial two, like if I have one more attempt left, I just missed it and I got one more attempt left, I have 2 minutes, so I'm not trying to sit there and break down my technique. I'm just thinking one thing. What's the main thing that I think about the last lift. I'm like, where did I go wrong the most? Like, I bumped the bar out. Okay, let's think about finishing, and I will think one thing literally the whole time, and I'm just like, just finish. Like, get the bar here and just finish. If you get, I think to myself, if you get into this position, you will make it.
Okay.
And for the most part, it works.
Yeah, you've done okay. You've done okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bryce.
Well, going back to weightlifting, like you guys can, in training at least, like miss a lift at 100% and make it the next time. That almost never happens in powerlifting, ever. Because like we are dealing with mostly strength, and you guys are dealing with strength and speed strength as well, and technique too. Like you can miss a lift for technique.
Yeah.
But going back to the question, if I miss a lift, what do I do to try to change that? I'm getting better at that. My tactic before used to just be cry in a corner, and I'm doing better. No, I had a really bad knee, and it just wrecked me. And I actually met with a sports psychologist, and we did a lot of work on approach to training and approach to lifting, and it helped an immense amount.
Great.
For me, the issue was not comparing myself so much with other lifters and just focusing on what I can do. And I function best in training when there's loud, goofy music on, and I can dance, and it's a very casual environment. I don't feel like I'm competing against people, and I've been trying to take that environment into competition. So I'll bring my speaker in the warm-up room, I'll meet people, say, hey, what's up, I'll make friends, and it improves my performance.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I mean, just exactly what kind of Norik said. Just kind of focusing on that one cue, that one thing that you need to work on or fix for the next lift.
Okay.
Just running that through your mind.
Yeah.
I definitely have to agree because you can't get stuck on what you did wrong. We all do it sometimes, but there's that mental toughness thing that you have, and you can either think about what you did wrong, how you can do it better quickly, and so that the next time that you do get out there, you're able to actually produce and actually finish properly. So if you can get it in a certain position and that's like your main weakness, then that's what you need to be thinking about. Think about one thing, not multiple things, because multiple things can cloud your mind, cloud your judgment, and keep you unfocused for the next lift. You only have 2 minutes to follow yourself, which technically is about maybe, a minute and 58 seconds.
Yeah.
Which goes by really fast. So there's no, I'm going to think long and hard about what I did wrong. It's how quickly can I adjust and improve myself so I won't mess it up the next time.
Okay.
And then there's that, you can either go out there and miss it again, or you can go out there and make it. Which one you want to do?
Yeah, for sure.
Question for Norik. I told him I was going to ask him this. To compare and contrast briefly, I know there's probably a bunch of differences. The Armenian training program and the American training program, since you've competed at the top levels in both.
So as far as the program goes, it's different because there isn't a program in the U.S. Everyone does their own thing. There's the training center, which we're not going to have anymore here pretty soon, and there's everyone that does everything on their own. Everyone has their own clubs and whatnot. But in Armenia, there is an actual system, and people use that system. It's from the Soviets, the Russian system, and now it's a little bit twist with a little bit of their mixture into it. But so that's one difference, is the system. There actually is a system there. But number two, the main thing that I saw over there is it's government funded over there, and like everyone knew the Olympic team. It was how do I say it's okay. So I saw like a 17-year-old over there training, and he was training like his life depended on it, like the way he was training. And this kid, he's a kid. He would walk to practice and he would walk back home. He would walk to school. Like he would do 2 a days, like one before school and then one after school. No one was forcing him to, but he knew if he didn't do that, like he has nothing else. There's nothing else he can do. He doesn't have opportunities like we have here. He can't even work at the local like grocery store because that's family owned, and the guy who owns it's gonna have his son or his I don't know, nephew or someone work it. You know what I'm saying? So the opportunities aren't much. So the little chance these people get, like they literally train like their life depends on it. You know. And it's just crazy. Like I would see a guy like attempt a weight, and I'm like, he has no business even attempting that, but he'll give it like 10 more tries because he just feels like that's what he needs to do, you know. And but whereas here, it's like even with any one of us, like if I miss a weight, you know, it's not life or death. Like I'm still gonna go home and sleep comfortably, and like food's not gonna be taken from my mouth if I miss that lift. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe a little bit. If it's like a record, I would get a little money for it or something. You know what I mean? But over there is literally life or death, and that's what I saw. I saw it in kids, grown-ups, whatever. Like they needed to make that Olympic team. It wasn't like I didn't make this Olympic team. I'm still living. I'm still okay. Like I can, you know, I'm gonna live till tomorrow. But these kids, they don't make the Olympics. Like they're done. They're done. Like it's huge. So just the way of their training. It was.
How do they select international teams in Armenia?
They pick like if it's a 8-man team, then they'll pick like top 14, 15 that they feel like have a chance to make it. So then they tell you it's 15 of you who have a chance to make it. Only 8 of you are going. They don't send alternates. They don't do that. And it's just Survivor. Doesn't matter who beat who at nationals a month before. Doesn't matter who's.
Is there a
weight.
coach that selects? Like,
Yeah, there's 3 coaches at the training camps. You have to go to these training camps. If you don't go to the training camp, you have what? You have a business you're running. So what are you doing lifting weights? Go run your business. Oh, you have kids to take care of. Go take care of your kids. Don't come to training camp. Forget about sports. That's how it is over there. But here, if they have a training camp, it's like, oh man, I'm running a business. I'm doing this. You can't tell these people they have to show up at training camp. So it's different in all aspects. You know what I'm saying? But the way it's selected is literally like Survivor. You make it through that day, you do well, you can come the next day. The training camp's over. The next training camp you go to goes from 15 to like 12 people. You either get the call or you don't. You get the call 2 days before, hey, come to camp. Okay, sweet, yes, I'm still in it. And it's down to the next 12, and then down to the next 10, and then you just don't get the call that one time, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess you guys at camp. You call your friend. He's like, yeah, we're at camp. All right. See you next time, you know? And I've been in both situations. I've been at the camp and I've been at home when I didn't know I wasn't invited, you know? So it's literally like Survivor. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
Do you think a style like that of like do or die and high stakes breeds better athletes?
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I was just curious because like, you know, you mentioned there's like a more individual approach here and there's less pressure to perform, and there's extremely high pressure.
Yeah.
You think you know that pressure makes athletes better overall?
Definitely. Like where our athletes, and this is for USA weightlifting, where our athletes succeed the most is when they have to qualify for teams.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're like, me and you are fighting to make a team, we're gonna push each other to the max until one of us beats the other one, you know? But then once you make the team, there's no pressure on us to do well at these meets. You already made the team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even I'm saying from January, she made the Olympic team. There is no real pressure on her to excel at these Olympic games. You know, the only pressure she has is what she puts on herself and how well she wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
No one's gonna look down on her for getting last place at the Olympics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, not medaling at the Olympics in Armenia, I'm still looked down on.
Mm-hmm.
They still like, man, maybe we could have sent someone else who had a chance. You know what I mean? So there's way more pressure over there, and I think that does. But I mean, there's also the other point. Some athletes can't handle that pressure, so they end up folding. So there's that part too. But
And at the same time, like the coaches at these training camps are able to see like who's ready.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
who's
yeah.
not.
The 3 coaches that are there,
Like, whereas
they
they're
pick.
not sending like athletes who are like injured who don't.
Oh no, they're with you the whole time. You don't get to go home for a weekend. They don't know. They don't guess what kind of shape you're in.
Yeah.
They know what you did yesterday. They know what you did tonight. They know what you're gonna do tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you don't do any of those, I'm sorry, next. So it's different. There's 3 coaches. They sit down, but when you're together with the group all the time, you know who's doing better than you. You know.
Yeah.
If you're snatching more than me every day, what are the chances I'm gonna out-snatch you at the competition?
Right.
It's very slim to none, you know, no matter how much better I perform or so, but they look at all that. They look at how well he's performed under pressure. They look at how much confidence they have in that individual athlete. How many times have you competed internationally?
Right.
Can we trust you? And that's what it comes down to.
So what do you guys do to build that mentality of like feeling that pressure all the time here in the U.S. when there's not, like, obviously for trials and for getting Olympic trials, there's that pressure. But if
I
it's
would
just,
definitely say that there's certain people that can actually handle that really well, and there's certain people that can't. Most of the people that can do really well under pressure. So they take it upon themselves, they have a great work ethic. They can get in the gym on time, they can eat the correct foods, as opposed to some people, they don't do that. You know, they might show up 10 minutes late or give excuses of why they were late. You know, instead of showing up, being there and doing what you're supposed to do every single day, that will determine whether you're going to be successful or not that successful. Like, talent can take you only so far, but it's your work ethic that's going to propel you forward. That's it with anything you do. So that's the same thing that we take every single day. We have our own expectations. Our coaches have expectations of us that we're going to push ourselves even when they aren't pushing us that much. So we're going to push ourselves like, oh man, I missed that lift. I could do that much better than what I did.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make the next one a lot better than I did this last one because that's unacceptable. And that type of mindset is a champion mindset to me. Because I've been on a championship team. So I am a champion at heart. So I know what it takes to be a champion, to continue to be a champion. You have to be able to adapt, you have to be coachable, you have to have self-discipline in everything. So it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna walk in the gym and do this day. And then forget all about the next day. It's a day-to-day lifestyle. It's not a, I'm gonna do this every now and then. It's everything you put in is what you're gonna get out.
Yeah. So I had a follow-up question kind of on that I was thinking from way back. It's like, you guys have all been athletes for a long time. What lessons have you learned about just being an athlete from your beginning to now that have helped you kind of thrive better?
I think that for me, just kind of the different challenges that come with sports, defeat, adversity, and these things. I think that I can definitely use as a tool, for like real life.
I was gonna say, like overcoming adversity and just like, I just recently had back surgery and that was my 3rd surgery in my career. And after I had my knee surgery the first time, and then I came back and won nationals, and then I had knee surgery again, and then I came back from that, and just knowing what your body can do. As an athlete, I think you surprise yourself. Like, I keep surprising myself. Like I've been lifting for like 16 plus years, and I just came off the best training cycle of my life at 29 years old. When at 20 years old, you asked me that, I would have been like, oh, I'll peak at like 25, you know? But just surprising myself and what your mind and body can do is way more than what you think.
Yeah.
And I think as an athlete, we kind of like discover a little bit of that, which I think there's still even more that our bodies can do and our minds can do. But just seeing that is cool, I think.
I think we have a couple minutes of film left. My personal last question is, where do you guys see yourself personally or athletically or both, say in 5 or 10 years?
We'll just go for everyone. Yeah.
Oh, I got
Everyone's got to answer this one.
Well, I'm very involved in the IT world, so I do hope to continue that. But within the in the sports realm, athletically, I do think I am capable of a lot more than what I'm producing right now. The last 4 years have been a big learning curve for me, so I feel like I can actually produce bigger numbers and actually end up being maybe in Olympic trials and maybe going for the team in 4 years. That's just how I feel about it. If someone else feels something different, that's your opinion.
Yours is all that matters.
Yeah, yours is the only prove those people wrong. Jenny, what about you?
I mean, I see myself in like a number of places, 5 years from now.
Like a two-time Olympian?
I mean, that's one of them, yeah. And I think I'm just gonna take it day by day, for now.
I'd like to continue to give back to the sport. We host, lectures and create resources and studies and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun for me, and I'd like to continue doing that. And as an athlete, just continue to get better and, like you said, surprise yourself. I surprised myself a few weeks ago with a squat PR that I thought I would never achieve, and I'm just looking forward to more of those as time goes on.
Personally, in 5 years, I would like to have maybe not a gym and everything like that, but like have something set up to where I'm like you kind of like what you said, giving back to the sport. Like I love weightlifting. Weightlifting is my thing. Like I don't care if it's male, female, a child, older person. Like I love helping people lift weights, and just knowing I can help someone's technique get better. Like that's what I want to do. So I want to have something set up with that, and then athletically, I just want to be healthy, honestly. I just want to be able to snatch 140 the way I used to. That's all I'm hoping for. And then if we can go more, like, let's do it. So hopefully I surprise myself some more. But as long as we can get back to the way I was moving, I'll be happy in 5 years.
Very cool. Any other questions?
I have a question. Was there ever a point in your guys' career that you're like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this, instead of just, like powerlifting, for example, or weightlifting, same thing? You're like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, I can actually take this pretty far, besides just doing it for fun.
I'd say my second year lifting, when I made my second team, my international team, I was like, wow, I guess I am pretty good at this.
Twice in a row,
Second year, I was like, wow, I guess I am pretty good.
What was the first international team?
Wow. The first one was like, it seemed like a gimmick. I was just like, that can't be real. Like, that was probably just luck. And then the second one, I was like, okay, this is more surreal. Like, I guess this is actually going somewhere. So, yeah, it was definitely after the second one.
What about you? I know a lot of elite athletes, very humble, almost to a fault, with, okay, you have 2 Olympians sitting up there. Do you feel that you're that good, or that you're still on a journey? Or what adjectives would you use to describe yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I feel like I'm still on a journey. Yeah, I feel like I still have so much more to learn about this sport. So.
What about you, Bryce?
I usually can't cope with the thought that, like, I'm very humble, and it's hard for me to think about being better than other athletes. And I just try to focus on myself. It's like, it's uncomfortable to me, so when people bring it up, I try to change the subject or something. And you guys obviously seem very humble. It's probably something similar to you. It's because I think part of you thinks that if you admit that you are good, you let off the gas pedal a little bit. Instead of thinking that there are always, better athletes out there, and you have to, like, just keep pushing. So I try to avoid thinking about that, actually.
I think as an athlete, no matter how good you get, or how good you think you are, or how good others think you are, I think you need to set goals for yourself, like that Michael Jordan interview. Like, he was the best, and like, what else was pushing him? So he would, like, try to find other things. He would set goals for himself that only he could achieve. You know what I'm saying? He's already surpassed everyone else, so he's setting goals for himself. And like with me, it was like, if I can't lift better, lift more weight, I want to lift it better. The same weight I'm lifting, I want to lift it better. If I can't do that, then I don't know, maybe then that's when it's time for me to hang it up. But to answer that question, with me coming up, like, it was never got to a point where I was like, I'm good at this. It was like, you have what it takes. You have to be good at this. That's what my father told me, and that's how I was like, I had no choice but to be good at it, basically. So it wasn't like I knew I was good. It was like, I have to keep going until I get good. And I'm still going to, I don't know, my father still doesn't think I'm good, so. I'm still going.
Keep going, just keep going.
That's how it was for me, though. It was like, this is what's expected of you. You have to do these things.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the sport, of course. He never forced me to do the sport. He didn't beat me into it.
Yeah.
Like some people probably think.
But he did give you a platform like a week after you started?
Yeah, and I cried. I cried to my mom. I was like, Mom, just like build the platform. Like I didn't say I want to be a weightlifter. I just want to jump high and play basketball.
Be a crybaby.
Right.
Seriously.
What advice do you guys have individually for people coming up into the sport? Whether they, hey, the great thing about the sport is somebody who's, you could be 37 with 3 kids and just do it because you like competing. You could take it really high, at a high level because you're young and you have all the time in the world. What advice would you guys give, either for athletes or especially in this kind of iron game?
I would say keep going. Like every 100 bad days you have, like every one good day is 100 bad days in the gym when it comes to weightlifting. Like there's so many bad days. I've had way more bad days than good days. But that's what makes those good days so much better, overcoming those bad days. So just stick with it. I thought about quitting like 10 different times, and I'm still here. So
Yeah.
just keep going at it.
For me, I guess the advice is like, this is an individual skill sport. Like you don't have to rely on other people, and you can discover so much about yourself through the sport. So, yes, you get to be strong. You get to, build your body and discover new things about your body, but also discover about how you can overcome challenges and, realize that you can overcome more than what you thought you could, and just kind of use it as a vehicle for that. Like, yeah, it's about the weightlifting and powerlifting, but it can be about so much more too.
Exactly. The word that I don't know.
Yeah, he pretty much said it. I mean, because you can have the worst day. Like this past 2 years, I've been doing 8 to 5. Working full time, then getting off, and then going to the gym. Well, sometimes my days aren't that great. I might feel really crappy during the day. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna go to the gym. I might not even do that well. Surprise myself. That little surprise every single time keeps me going. Because I'm like, man, if I can do this when I'm feeling this bad, I'm like, what can I do when I'm feeling great?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, just stick with it. Like what they said, just stick with it. You never know what could happen. I mean, it's a different stressor. It can be your relaxation for the rest of life problems, for your other life problems.
Yeah, for sure. They say some people have a hard time kind of defining strength, and we kind of look at strength as the ability to overcome. And that could be the ability to overcome a barbell, kind of getting out of your head and stuff like that. So yeah, this has been great. As far as following up with people, you guys have a huge social media, especially, Bryce is really, really active with, his strength athlete stuff. How can other people watching this, or if they just kind of want to train with you guys or kind of pick your brains, do you guys offer workshops? Do you guys do anything like that? Or what do you guys have going on?
Yeah, I do like personal coaching and all that good stuff. And then me and Jenny are actually going to do a seminar tour together after she gets back from Rio. So, any questions, contact me at my email or Instagram. It's just my name, Norik Vardanian, at Yahoo or Instagram.
You can sign us up here.
There's not too many Noriks, so if you just
I think you guys got your first one right here, which is good. So, Bryce, what about you? I know you have a website.
Yeah, we have a website called thestrengthathlete.com, and we work with powerlifters around the world too. Not weightlifters, just not qualified for all that you guys do. But powerlifters, you can just find us on the website.
Okay, great.
I'm actually gonna start getting into seminars because I've coached 3 different sports already. And, I mean, as an athlete, I want to focus on myself, but I also like to give back. I like to give advice and like to help athletes, even the individual people, get better. So I am working with my current, gym coach, Jackie Black, and one of her assistant coaches, Jacqueline Hong. We're gonna go start doing seminars soon. So you can reach me at Sylvia Hoffman, just at my Facebook, and I'll be able to get back with you about it.
All right. Awesome, guys. Any last thing you want to say?
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
it was a blast.
Yeah, you guys did great. All right.
Jenny.
And good luck.
Awesome. Yeah, good luck, Jenny, by the way. All right. Yeah.
What color is your medal going to be in 2020, Jenny?
Oh.
Oh,
Ooh, in 2020.
2020.
Oh, excuse me. What about 2016?
Ooh, that's a better question.
He's looking to the future.
Putting you on the spot.
Maybe in That's what color. Let's see 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll take it a second time.
Yeah, cool.
Any color from the Olympics is good.
Any color.
Yeah.
Just
Any color.
walking into the village is amazing.
Yeah. All right, cool. Take care. Thanks.
That's great.
All right.